Welcome to Launch Code, a premier business podcast, starring Evan Hafer, Mat, and Jared Taylor.
All right, welcome back to the Launch Code with Matt,
Hello.
Evan, and Jamey Caldwell. So today we're going to talk about transitioning and then not the transition that you're thinking of.
It's hard now because
Yeah.
it's 2018. There's a lot of other transitionings
You
happening.
know?
And
Everything's acceptable now.
to each your own,
Everything.
but not in this room today.
Nope. So Jamey, what is it that you do for a profession?
I professionally fish.
Shit, man.
Bass fish and saltwater fish too.
Right.
but, yeah,
So primarily
primarily bass.
Okay.
and
freshwater.
Freshwater. Nice. Do you have your own bass boat?
I do.
I'm super jealous.
Big old boat with a jacked up truck, all wrapped in multicam.
Really?
Rolling down the Oh yeah, get some
Yeah.
good looks.
Is there how big is your boat? Like, was that like a 12-footer?
20
Wow.
20 feet. Yeah,
a
and
big
it has a 250 horsepower outboard. So it scoots along at a pretty good pace. It's about an 80-mile-an-hour boat.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fast boat.
Do you have a troll motor as well?
I do.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, it's hooked up with everything. I mean, it's top of the line. It's multiple graphs on there for finding fish electronically.
When did you ETS? When did you get out?
I retired in December of 14.
Okay. So
Yep.
it's been a few years. Was this something that you're doing while you were in the military, or is it like I got out of the military and you're like, okay, I'm going to go be a fisherman?
No, I've done it my whole life. I mean, I always loved to fish. I grew up fishing. I grew up in Connecticut and mostly fly fish for trout, tie my own flies. Every weekend I was going somewhere, pedaling my bike and going to hit a pond or a creek. When I joined the military, my first assignment was at 1st Ranger Battalion, and that's where I picked up bass fishing.
Okay.
I ended up linking up with a local guy, and we were going fishing all the time. He saw just how enthusiastic I was about it, and he says, "You need to join a bass club." I mean, this was mid-'90s. I'm like, "What's a bass club?" So he got me into a bass club, and it's basically, a group of guys like a bowling league or anything
Right.
else. We get together
way
once a
cooler
month.
than a bowling league.
Yeah.
Way cooler. Nothing against bowling, but
No.
catching fish with your friends seems a lot more.
It's definitely, but
enjoyable.
there's a lot of alcohol involved in bowling.
But what do you do, man? When you join that, like, what does that look like? I'm from the Northwest. Like, there's not that I know of. In Idaho, there's nothing like that I know of. So tell me what that looks like.
It's throughout the entire country now. Bass fishing
it?
is huge. It's absolutely huge. But when you join a club, you have a meeting like once a month, and you
Right.
have a tournament once a month.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of guys that get together with their boats, and you go out and you spend 8 hours out there trying to catch the best 5 fish. You come in at the end of the day, and it's according to weight. Your total 5 fish.
Total weight, not
Yep.
individual. But
Yep,
is there
they do-
separate prizes?
They do. There's a separate pot for big fish.
Okay.
So they'll do a separate pot for big fish, and then it's total
And
weight.
if I'm correct, right, once you pick a fish, you can't release that after it for a larger fish. Once you pick it, that's one fish, correct? Or can you?
That does happen. Generally, it's not. Generally, what we called culling. So you go out there, and I may catch. Let's say I catch 5 fish, my limit in the first 30 minutes. Well, then my 6th fish I catch, if it's bigger than one of my others, I take the smallest one, I throw it back. So you continue
you
to
can.
upgrade.
Okay.
Yep, you upgrade throughout the day. Now there are some crazy. I think they may have fixed it. There was some crazy laws in Michigan or Wisconsin or something where you couldn't cull. You could not release a fish that you caught. There once you caught it, you had to keep it. And some of the tournaments it played in there. So it just varies on where you're at, but primarily 5 fish and you just cull all day.
How long have you been professionally fishing now?
Probably 8 years.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. So I was doing it while I was
Yeah.
in. Yeah. I started fishing in Savannah. Started doing tournaments. Like everybody, military ranger. Special ops stuff. Adrenaline junkie. So I loved fishing. I go out there in my first tournament, and you're racing boats because you got to race to the spot. Beat everybody else. You're racing around the lake all day. You're fishing, which I love, and then you got money involved. You're competing for money. I'm like, this is it. I love this. And then I figured out that you could get paid to do it,
Right.
get sponsors to pay for everything, and some of the tournaments I fish, there's over $100,000 for first place.
Really?
So there's good money involved. Really good money.
How do you even become a professional fisher? Is there like you have to do amateur first? You have to rank in a tournament and then get a license, or
kind of. I mean, there's no pro card, and it's moving up through the ranks. You know, you start kind of at the club level, and then you go to the BFL or like the weekend level. You know, a 1-day tournament on a Saturday, and then you start moving up into multi-day tournaments. You know, and then the top level is your Bassmaster Elite Series and your FLW Tour. That's your top level, and you know, you have a mix of amateurs and pros in there. But
and where are you at right now?
I'm fishing the Bassmaster Opens this year, the Eastern Opens, which is just below the Elite Series. That's how you qualify to get to the Elite Series. Last year I fished FLW Tour, which is the top tour on the FLW side. But this year I've launched my training company, 1 Minute Out, and it's just the first tournament conflicted with SHOT Show. Kind of need to be here, you know, to do some tactical business. So I had to pull out from FLW Tour for this year.
Okay. So how many tournaments have you fished in?
Oh, hundreds of tournaments. Yeah. I mean, usually there's one a week, one a month at least, sometimes multiple a month, and it's various levels. Right. So you'll have, you know, you're at the professional tour level, there's, you know, depending on the tour, 8 to 10 tournaments throughout the year. Mm-hmm. But then there's the lower level, like NASCAR. Right. You know, you've got the Cup or the Chase, and then you've got the level below, and guys jump down and, you know, and race in the level below. Do the same thing in bass fishing. So you, even if you're fishing the top, you're going to jump down and fish the next level below. There's certain levels you can't go to that, you know, there's certain tournaments I can't fish because of, you know, being.
Can't go sneak into the club and just clean house real quick with your nice equipment.
Yeah, they don't take too kind to that when you show up and take their money. And now if they take your money, they're all about it. Nobody says anything. But as soon as you start taking their money, they're, no, pros can't fish this. You know, get out of here. You can't fish.
So how does this run? So you're obviously paying an entry fee of some type, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. And then what do those typically cost?
The tournaments that I fish are anywhere from $1,500 to the tour it breaks down to almost like $5,000 a tournament. Wow. When you do the tour, you commit to the entire tour. So there's a deposit you have to pay up front, which is about $7,000, and then you have installment payments, which are right around $5,000 a piece.
And then how many of those?
It totals out to be almost $33,000 for one, and then the other one is close to like $50,000. Yeah, it's
what would
pricey.
What are the total earnings across that whole tournament? Is it, you know, each day there's a reward, or is it, and then the best at the end, or?
Generally it's the best at the end. So you do a 3-day tournament, your weights carry into the next day, and they start cutting people, because you'll start with 100 to 150 guys in the tournament. Mm-hmm. After 2 days, we cut to the top 50, and then they'll cut after that day. They'll cut to the top 10 or top 12, depending on the trail.
And how many times you land in the top 10 now? Like,
quite a few times. Yeah. It's I've had some good years. The past couple years since I retired, believe it or not, you think, all right, I got more time to put towards fishing. It's going to really take off, but it's kind of slowed down a little bit for me. You know, the success side of it,
right?
But the sponsorship side of it's still growing. You know, I mean, you throw in social media now,
right,
into the mix, and that's. Sponsors are really, really looking at all the social media.
Right.
You know, you got to have strong numbers. You got to be putting in a lot of time into that aspect of it. And I've had sponsors say, which seems crazy, you know, in bass fishing, you think, if you're out there and you're winning and you're doing well, you know, they're all about it. But some of them, when you win a tournament, they're like, yeah, great. I mean, it's a bonus. You're going to get some exposure, but it's maybe a week. You maybe have 5 days, even winning at the very top level. You've got about 5 days to capitalize on that via social media, you know, and you'll get people calling you and doing articles, and it'll trickle out, you know, over the next couple months in magazines and video type stuff. But there's a new winner every weekend, you know, between the pro and kind of the, you know, the level right below it. There's so many tournaments going on that, you know, it's old news come the next weekend because there's another tournament.
Right.
I'm curious, like, how much is reliant on like being a technical fisher, and then obviously the technology involved in fishing now? Because, you know, when I grew up, it was like, all right, there's a little shaded, looks like got a branch in the ground, it's probably a good spot for a bass. But now, I mean, with fish finders and all the sonar capabilities, is that really helpful? But is it kind of an equal playing field because most professional fishers have those assets, and then it's more relying on you as good intuition and all of that?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, the electronic stuff has definitely helped. And that's one of my big things. I'm all into the electronics. I mean, I've got the top line of everything, and you can really find fish faster now, but you can find them
bite.
Exactly. You can find them all day long, but you still have to make them eat, and that's where it comes into a lot of knowledge, trial and error, and just history of getting them to eat.
I mean, for like the average person, I mean, it's amazing how much even like lures come in as far as, is it sunny outside? Is it cold? What are the weather conditions? What the
There's
season?
There's a science to it.
It's a science,
right?
yeah. And I don't know anything about it. I just know like the generalities of it. But
right, yeah. I mean, all those things play. They play on what you're going to do, because you could go out one day during practice and, it's overcast all day long. The fish are roaming. So when it's overcast, they have no reason to hold tight to any type of cover. They're roaming around and they're swimming around and eating on the move. Well, then the sun pops out and it's super bright and sunny. Now they're looking for some shade. They're going to those shady spots. They're looking for a little bit of cover. Water conditions vary. If it's really clear, then they're not going to be roaming that much. They'll sit in some ambush places, but they can see better, so they'll feed off a sight. Then when you go into the dirty, stained water, now it's almost like, and use the analogy, if you were in a room, even if it was your own home, and you totally blacked the lights out, like you cannot see anything, pitch dark black. You're still not going to walk around that house like
I hit my shit on the bed like crazy. Ah, shit.
Right.
So what you do is you edge your way around the walls or around furniture. You kind of feel your way around. Bass are doing the same thing. When it gets real stained, the water gets muddy, or they're in that section, they'll hold tighter to that cover. So it's a little easier to target them and find them, because you have things to target and look. There should be a fish there. That's a big stump or a laydown.
And then are they eating and biting on like vibrations and smell, or is that?
They use all their senses. So vibration is a key part of it. They have, if you look at a largemouth bass or picture it, they have this kind of black line that goes down their side. That's their lateral line. That's how they sense movement and everything in the water. They can hear and they can smell and they can see, but a lot of times they're picking up that vibration in the water and movement of a bait, and then they'll come in and close in on it. And then as they get closer, depending on water conditions, that's when they'll see it and eat off a sight, or they may smell something and it just triggers a bite. Or bass are very aggressive. I mean, if
they're kind of like a-holes,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
If they got any bigger than they did, I would not swim in freshwater. I mean, they're like freshwater sharks, just for no reason at all. I mean, they'll eat, and that's part of what you have to do out there tournament fishing, because there's small windows where they feed,
right?
But you have to trigger them to eat throughout the day to be successful. So you've got to do something.
It's usually like morning and dusk, right?
Yep.
Or best
generally,
feed times.
Generally morning and dusk is the best feed times. But
so are you going after them in different ways just based off of the time of the day? Like 1 p.m. is going to be significantly different than 7 a.m.
Conditions will change throughout the day, and you have to adjust to it. And the guys that can adjust faster, quicker, and can see those conditions changing and react to them faster, those are the guys that are more successsul.
I don't know why I'm so intrigued by this.
This is hyper interesting. I've never met a professional fisherman ever. So like, you're the first one. Obviously, I've met you before, but this is super interesting. I mean, strategy has got to be hugely important to winning, placing. I mean, all of those things. So, what are you doing in preparation? I mean, besides fishing, are you what are you doing, man? Are you researching
what historical trends of the
what's going
Believe it or
on?
not, my military background has helped me
right
quite
now in
significantly.
operations.
Yeah. Well, we use satellite imagery a ton.
Right.
You get handed a target. Hey, here's we're going after this guy. Looking at pattern of life, or hey, here's his bed down location. Boom, intel guys are pulling up imagery right away. You've got up to 1 meter satellite imagery you're looking at, and you're putting together your plan. All right, how am I going to attack this target? Where's the best way to come in? The whole nine. I've taken that concept and turned it to bass fishing. So I use multiple satellite imagery, shots from different websites, from different organizations. I've even paid to get some better high quality imagery. And, maybe while I was still in, I might have had some friends in Intel that, kind of hooked me up with some really good imagery.
There might be a lake. I need you to pull up a nice GRG for me.
Hence why he was doing better on active duty.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I had
Is
a
it
little
called
more
inside
help.
GRG? It's a LRG, like a lake reference guide. Wait a second.
But it's, I mean, believe it or not, one of my tournaments, we were deployed, and I was doing a bunch of research for it, looking at imagery. I came back and had my tournament within a week. I mean, I got like one practice day, and I won the tournament. It was all off of like all the research I did while I was in Iraq. You know, map studies, looking at satellite imagery. I ended up via satellite imagery. I found a hump that was showing on the imagery. You could see it through the clear water. Like, yeah, there's some high ground right there, and it was not on any map. I went out there during practice, checked it out, found it. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, there's some fish here, and I mean, there was a great school of fish on it, and I mean, it lasted 3 days. And just go out there and hammer them.
So on a practice day, are you just doing essentially like recon and scout, or are you actually fishing to see, but you don't want the fish to bite prior to the tournament, I'd imagine?
Right. It's depending on how far out you're allowed to practice. Some of the tournaments, you can't be on the water up until like official practice. So we get 3 days of official practice. On the start of it, I'll go out and I'll catch fish. And sometimes into day 2, I'll catch them. Especially if you're getting bit quite a bit in an area, you want to check and see, well, what's the quality of these fish? Am I wasting time with a bunch of 1-pound fish that really aren't going to help me in this tournament? I need to check and see, all right, are these good quality fish that, I want to catch these fish in the tournament. So it depends. I mean, like everything with fishing, you have to look at what you've got. What's the conditions? How close are you to actual tournament day? Because most likely, any fish you catch in practice, especially the day, maybe 2 days before a tournament, you're probably not going to catch that fish in the tournament.
Right. And what's a good, like, when you catch a fish, like, what do you
When
keeping?
am I jumping up and down and doing the big old happy dance?
Yeah.
If you're up north, then you don't necessarily need those bigger fish because they don't grow that big. Down south, I mean, you catch 8-10 pound bass, you're doing the happy dance.
Holy crap.
What's the largest bass? In the largemouth, right? Or?
Yes, largemouth. We do in the tournaments. You're allowed largemouth, spotted bass, smallmouth, and then there's a few other species in certain areas like Guadalupe bass. There's a different breed of spotted bass, but generally all those count. And largemouth though usually get the largest. And my biggest fish, believe it or not, comes from North Carolina. Right near my house, a lake that is recently made the top number 4 on the top 100 bass lakes that was published, but it was just over 10 pounds, 10.02. It was in a tournament. Ooh. And I caught that fish early in the morning. It was 7:30 in the morning. First spot I pull up on, I caught that fish. I put it in the boat. And I throw right back out there, same bait, same place, and catch one just over 8 pounds.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I sat down, had a sandwich. I'm like,
you got a Moab, a mother of all bass, man.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I got almost 20 pounds, and we're 30 minutes into the tournament. Might head back
Time
to the
for a
ramp,
nice
probably.
sandwich and a nap.
Go take a nap. Yeah.
What weights are winning? Like, what is a good, like collectively? You know what I mean?
It averages between anywhere from 15 to 20 pounds. There are some lakes where.
Wow, really?
Oh yeah, there's some lakes that it's going to take 30 pounds. Now this is we're talking about 5 fish string.
Right.
But there's quite a few tournaments that it's in the 30-pound range.
Got it.
For one day.
So you catch a 10-pound bass, you
got a big head start.
Yeah,
that's what we call that's your kicker.
Got it.
Because you're looking at average weight of
you can
5
pretty
pounds
much
per bass.
Right.
Yeah, you can pretty much just like I guess you sit down and have a sandwich.
Yeah.
At that point,
Since you get 2 of them, that's
8 to
4 fish
10.
total probably.
That's when I can sit down and start grinding my coffee.
Yeah.
And,
Whip out the hand grinder, not
take a little
drinking the
break
K-cup.
here. Let's make this right.
That's incredible, man. Like so. Hundreds of tournaments, from the guy that's like, hey, I'm a weekend bass fisherman. Like, I'm never want to be pro, but I'm a weekend guy. That give us some pro tips.
A little
bro.
advice.
Yeah, give us some pro tips.
Get out there as much as you can.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's you can't replace. There's so much information on the internet. It's great. You can find so much out there and you can learn a lot. If you're not on the water, then be researching. Get on the internet, just Google stuff. Go to YouTube and watch videos. You'll learn a lot, but for me, maybe other people are different. I've got to do it. I'm a hands-on type of person, so I can read it, see it, do it all day long on the computer, but I have to be out there. When I'm on the water and I apply those, and then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I just caught fish doing this, that's when it sticks. But getting out there on the water as much as you can, that's where you're really going to learn your lessons. That's where you're going to see those conditions change and go, oh, okay, yeah, the sun just went in, and now I just caught him on this bait versus that bait. Or, you may change color when the sun goes in from something that's real clear to maybe something that's a little bit more white. You know, it just helps the bass see it better.
Got it.
You can learn a lot of that on the internet, but getting out there and applying it. So get out there, you know, absolutely as much as you can. And if you're
a more specific question, but you said you're switching to white to see it better. Why wouldn't you use that bait during like very clear water? Will you spook a bass because they can actually see that it's not moving correctly like an actual fish? Or
you can. The deal with real clear water that you want to watch out for is you never want the fish to get a really good look at your bait, because then they can tell something's not right, something's off. So staying with baits that are moving a lot faster, more erratic, and more translucent. So they see it, you know, that there's something there, and they come in to investigate it. And then with the erratic movement, you can just trigger that, you know, that feed response.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're like a girl's on a 4 on the hot scale and she goes to a super dark club. Like the Guidos are going to feed on them because they can't see the bait that well. Until they wake up in the morning, they're in the boat and they're like, oh man, I just got fished.
Exactly.
So my next question is, it's 1 minute out. So you're a busy man. Like you've got a lot going on between fishing and 1 minute out. Tell us a little bit about that.
So 1 minute out started about a year ago. It started through fishing. A buddy and I that I fish with, who's Chris Murphy. He's a SWAT, law enforcement guy to Arlington. So he's pretty busy. We saw a fishing company out there called 5x3, and all they were was a logo. And it's a 5 with the multiplication sign that has hooks on it, and a 3, and it means 5 fish by 3 o'clock. So the tournament anglers like 5x3. Yes, I get it. That's awesome. And it took off, and that's all it was a logo. It was t-shirts and hats, and then all of a sudden they were doing sunglasses. The guy ended up selling the company for like a couple $1 million, a few years after he started it, and it was like quick, bam, done. So we're like, we need to have something like that. Why don't we? So we started, looking at, hey, what can we do on the tactical side that could maybe apply for tactical for fishing? And we came up with, 1 minute out. And it's when you're going in on the military side, tactical side, when you're going in on target, you're on a helo, you're flying around, just like everybody. We're smoking and joking. 2-3 minutes out, just laughing and having a good time. You hit that 1 minute call, 1 minute, and that's when you change. That's when you flip the switch. You're firing at 100%. All your sensors are firing. You're just dialed in. You're ready to go. So trying to tell that story of live like you're 1 minute out. So live like that all the time. The more that you see the logo on things, it kind of clicks, and just try to be like that all the time. Try to be at your best. Focused and firing at 100%.
And what do you guys sell?
We're right now just some t-shirts, hats, getting some other stuff in, but our focus right now is training. I kind of took a break. Did a lot of fishing when I retired. I sort of needed it. 21 years.
Right.
When I finished my time at 1st Ranger Battalion, I went to Fort Bragg to Special Operations Unit up there. Spent 14 years there. Did 14 deployments between Afghanistan, Iraq, Bosnia, some other places. And in pretty much the entire time I was there, I was going hard and heavy. So when I retired, I needed a break. I was done with it. I didn't want to have anything to do with anything tactical. Just wanted to kind of walk away. Fishing was my therapy. I get on the water, everything just kind of goes away. But now it's been a couple years, and I, as much as I learned, over those 14 deployments, I saw us change so much from like the Somalia mindset and carrying everything and having all kinds of stuff on your kit to early Afghanistan, the different stuff that we did. Hunted bin Laden, up in Tora Bora, actually hearing his voice on a radio. We were, so close. And then seeing Iraq kick off and us, hard and heavy in Baghdad, and then start to push out and running out stations. Just our kit changed. The way we did business changed a lot, and then we used to go, which we kind of guys still do, but, a lot of going hard, blow doors, using explosive breaching, going in, CQB, white light, just fast and furious, surprise, speed, and violence of action. And we saw it kind of taper into the call out piece, where guys, they were expecting you when you came in. So blowing doors and running in to a machine gun nest, wasn't necessarily the smartest thing. So you had to sort of back up and slow down on some targets. And I saw a lot of change. So now I look at it and doing some work. I consult for Core Survival, which we do helmet strobes. We do a bunch of IR stuff, and we've got a bunch of them in military units, SF, Rangers running them, and meeting all these different guys and talking to them and hearing where there's gaps in training. I'm like, with all the experience I have, I feel like I need to share it. I need to be out there and teach the lessons learned, especially on the LE side. We get a lot of those guys that come in, they're finally able to buy night vision. They're looking at our lights, we need an IR strobe for the helmet, but they're like, we have no idea how to use this stuff. This is first time getting NVGs. They don't even have lasers yet. Nobody prior military on their teams, and they're just kind of lost. So I'm like, well, that's my focus. My focus right now is NVG training. So I'm doing my first course is in Tucson, Arizona in March. And it's basically an NVG operator course. 2-day course. I'm going to put them through some classroom stuff, just get them familiar with their equipment, make sure their gear's set up right. Then we're going to go out on the range, do some day shooting, get them zeroed, make sure they're zeroed with all their day sights, and then roll right into the night stuff. Get them zeroed at night, show them how to zero their lasers, get everything dialed in, do a bunch of different shooting drills, do some different drills and different things with under nods for them to get used to moving around, depth perception, and then roll into a little bit of force on force and a little bit of CQB type stuff with them. And every class will vary, but yeah, it's taken off. I mean, once I've kind of announced that and start putting it out there, I could be probably doing something every single week somewhere. Yeah.
Wow.
The requests are just rolling in. So it's going good. It's going real good.
And are you partnered with anybody on that, or just you?
Yeah, I'm partnered with Chris Murphy. Yeah, we're partnered up, and we're gonna run some. He's still in. He's still doing the LE piece. He stays pretty busy, and we've got that geographical separation. I'm still in North Carolina. He's in Virginia, but we're looking to come together for some courses near us. I'm doing some stuff with another company that's been doing some night vision training, more just kind of straight law enforcement piece, but he brings in that certification. Law enforcement's huge on, we're certified on this. We went to this course, and he's tied in with NTOA, which is the National Tactical Officers Association. Yeah. So we're going to be able to, here you go. You went through our course. You're certified, X amount of hours on NVGs, and you've done this, this, and this. So I'm willing to work with, whoever, just get out there, get some training, good training out there on the street, and really help these guys out so, they're not lost out there on target, and they can use this technology.
So it's primarily LEO that you're doing?
Mostly, yeah. I've got some government agencies that have contacted me that want to set up some classes, and it's open to military too. So it's just getting the word out there, for those guys that want to do something.
And what do you got this year? Like, what do you got scheduled as far as like tournaments you're fishing in, and then courses that you've
a little bit of everything. Like you said, I'm busy. So doing the tournament stuff right now. I'm signed up for one pro trail. I've got five events for that trail, and then there's some other tournaments mixed in there, some team tournament stuff that I'm going to do closer to home, and then the training side. Right now there's about 3 or 4 courses on the books, and just right now trying to schedule the rest and find the dates and the gaps in there to get them done.
Is there good bass fishing in Texas?
There's phenomenal bass fishing in Texas.
Well, then we would like an email when you're in town, and we will come join.
Yeah, we're moving the company down to San Antonio, so you're gonna have to come down and go bass fishing with us. What I meant to say was you're gonna have to come down and teach us how to go bass fishing.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
I'm a fly fisherman, so I fish for trout.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, Texas, you guys are in the mecca of it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you can fish all year. Great fishing too. Huge. There's some huge bass down there. They grow them. Like Texas,
everything's big in
Texas.
Even the bass.
Yeah,
even the bass. Yeah, you will love that. It'll be good.
Well, this is phenomenal, man. Thanks for stopping by. We're in, we're out. This was fucking great. Next year we'll get an update on where you've been, what you're doing. Where can people find you?
All social media, 1 Minute Out.
Okay.
Instagram primarily for that. We're growing some other stuff, but that or just Jamey Caldwell. All my social media stuff: Instagram, Twitter,
Nice.
YouTube channel.
So if people are interested as well into participating in one of your courses, where would they go directly for that?
Best bet is either 1minuteout@gmail.com or just go to Instagram and just message me via Instagram right now until we get the website up and running and all that.
Perfect. Awesome.
Great.
Thanks, man.
Thank you
so much.
guys.
Fuck yeah.
I appreciate it. This is awesome.
Great.